I don't know about this one. I don't know.
I want to know your opinion on this movie. Before I say anything, I got to hear what you have to say.
Well, I think it's like we're not just talking about a movie. We're talking about the first chapter in a shared universe that's going to be all types of movies. And,
maybe.
Well, they were saying it was going to be Dracula Untold. That was going to be the first one. And then
and they were basically like, forget about that.
Yeah, no, that wasn't it. Now it's this one. It's not good. That's it. I mean, it's not like the worst thing ever. It's just like, it's what you think. You think it is the worst thing ever. I think a lot of people criticize the initial idea, like, oh, this sounds like they're going about it the wrong way. They're not going to be like horror, like focused on horror. It's going to be more about like the action aspect. They're trying to copy what Marvel did, and it is exactly what you expect.
You were the first person to ever show me the original Mummy. Mm-hmm. And I loved the original Mummy because I know that the Mummy and the Brandon Fraser movie and this movie, people think of them as popcorn flicks. But Boris Karloff, when you watch his performance, I don't think he took that role as he was performing for a popcorn flick. He was so good in that. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing in this movie that like even came close to anything as authentic and admirable as what they did back then. I was insulted by this movie. It was the one, and before I go on about how much I didn't like this movie, I want to say, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, well, Mike just doesn't like modern movies. I just saw Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was great.
Oh, Wonder Woman was really good. So at least we got one good one this summer so far.
Wonder Woman was really, really good. Go see that. This movie.
Oh, and also there's a movie that just came out the same weekend called It Comes at Night, and that's supposed to be really good from what I heard. So maybe we just saw the wrong movie. See, I'm like stuck in the past. Like when I the Mummy, Universal Monsters, that's going to get on my radar a lot quicker than another horror film. Mm-hmm. It's a good example of, I mean, I haven't seen this movie, It Comes at Night, but it's kind of a good example of the original things, original ideas are better than trying to rehash something old. But with that said, I really want to see the Universal Monsters come back in some way, because I feel like they need to be represented for every generation in some different way. Like I like the Hotel Transylvania movies because they have classic monsters in them. I just think that in some way they need to keep like retelling those monsters all the time.
I see what you're saying, but I'm gonna say I have to disagree because. Like, you're not going to top Lugosi's performance or Karloff or any of those guys, or Lionel Atwill or any of those guys. No, but really, those movies are great, full of atmosphere, and I love them. And it's just, why do we always have to continually have a new version of it? I like what you said about this movie that you just mentioned, a new horror movie. I would rather see more original horror movies with totally new ideas as opposed to rehashing old things that really don't need to be done over and over. The reason that they keep doing things over and over, the superhero movies and, you know, how many Spider-Man movies are we going to have? How many, we always get these remake movies because it's safe. And Hollywood says, oh, well, we know the Batman movie did good, so let's do more Batman movies because we know that they'll make money. It's the same thing with this. They think, I guess, that it's a safe idea, and they're trying to follow in the wake of what the Avengers did and having a Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now they want to have a monster cinematic universe. But those are superheroes. This is monsters, and it's two different things entirely. I just wish that they would not make these movies at all. Personally,
just reminded me though, there's a lot of source material because the Marvel comics they did like Tomb of Dracula and the Living Mummy and all that stuff. Maybe they could have drawn more from that, and if they were going in this direction and make it more like a not necessarily, this isn't really like a superhero movie, but it definitely has a lot of influence from all the Marvel movies. And the thing is, nobody else can do that besides Marvel because Marvel has all the money and they're able to get these movies. There's like, how many Marvel movies are there a year? Like
oh
2
my
or
God.
3
Everything's a superhero movie now. It's just, there's Thor and there's Spider-Man and there's...
What they're doing with this, they're not even able to make the second movie quick enough because nobody can keep up with Marvel. So I don't even think, from what I read, the next one is coming out in 2019. So we still have like a couple years for the next one.
I just don't understand why. No, I do understand why. It's because of money, and people got to get paychecks, and these studios want to keep the movies rolling so that they can keep making money, and I get that, but can't we ever just stop? These movies don't need to happen. And on top of that, so first of all, I don't think these movies need to happen in the first place. Second of all, if you are gonna do it, at least make them good. And this movie sucked. It sucked. It was a disaster, the entire fucking thing.
Where is the mainstream fan base of the classic monsters? Like, there isn't really such a thing right now. Like, you don't, people aren't talking about Frankenstein and the Mummy and everything. They're talking about Thor and, you know. And
that's why it works with the superhero movies, because people are talking about Spider-Man. They're talking about Captain America.
So I think, like, you'd either have to do something that is Marvel or do something that's niche. And they could have done something niche with these. They could have made it more like, I mean, what I would want to see is not what would make money. I would want to see a black and white follow-up to it being like just like the classic.
Exactly.
Like, if the classics were continuing, I'd like them to make it look authentic, like it was from the 40s.
In that style, yeah.
Yeah, as if those movies never stopped. I would just want to see more of because that's the thing. This is why I want to see more, because I've seen all of them 1,000 times.
You want to see the next one?
I just want to see more. I just want to see like a continuation.
Yeah.
But that's never going to happen.
No.
I mean, a lot of fan films have tried to do it, but I want to see Universal try to do it officially and actually do it really well. It's not going to happen.
Because they take what those movies were and they're turning it into something completely different.
And a lot of people would say, why make something that looks like the classics? Why not just watch the classics? You know, I've heard that before, but it's like, I just want to see more of them.
Because you've seen the classics 100 times, now you just want to see another one.
You know, sometimes like you know, every Halloween I watch a few of them, and I'm always like, well, let's see, I haven't seen House of Frankenstein in a while. And then next year I'm like, I haven't seen The Mad Ghoul in a long time.
This movie starts off with, you know, explosions and missiles coming down, and they're in a plane and it's crashing, and then all this like sandstorms and craziness, and it's like, this is not what these movies were about or why they were good at all. You know what I liked about Frankenstein? I liked when that scene of him and the old blind man, and they're having a conversation. It's like a funny little conversation, and they're in a house like talking for 20 minutes. It's like these movies are nothing like the reasons we like the Universal monster movies. This movie that I saw today had none of that.
And you know, it should be different. Like you know, I already told you I wanted to see it done black and white, but you also see it done different. Like I was saying, that these movies can be just retold over and over again in different ways. So I do want to see different interpretations of the monsters.
I wouldn't mind seeing a different interpretation of the monsters if it was done well. But the problem is those original movies are so good and so iconic that I don't think anything's ever going to live up to that.
Oh, no, you can't. I don't even think that's even the goal. I think it's just to...
I don't know. It's
just to keep them alive for younger generations. Right. I mean, I'm glad they made this movie, at least just to get people talking about the old Mummy movies and everything. Actually, I'm going to repost my marathon of all the Mummy reviews next Friday.
Okay.
So people could know all about what the old Mummy movies are all about.
Yeah, so Dr. Jekyll also makes an appearance in this movie, and I understand why they were doing that, because they're trying to set up this cinematic universe, and I guess he's kind of going to be the mastermind behind it or something like that.
He's the Nick Fury in this movie.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just unnecessary.
Well, here's where I have a conflict in my mind. I'm not really sure which it is I want, but on one hand, I would like to see, rather than just making a Mummy movie. I would have rather it seen just go straight for the monster mash. If this is about the Universal monsters, let's just see them all together in one movie, like Monster Squad. Like that, Monster Squad was probably the last like really good movie we had. All this, and actually, like Van Helsing, like that wasn't too bad. I haven't seen it in a long time, but like Van Helsing was better than this.
You think they need to just get to the point?
Either get to the point or give us something more focused. Just give us one thing, because the other side of the coin is that they try to do too much with this, because not only is it a mummy movie, but also they're Jekyll has all the jars, and it's like there's the creature's hand, the creature from the Black Lagoon, and there's like a skull with
they tried to do that shit in Batman vs Superman as well, when they throw in like a shot of like Aquaman or whatever. It's like
same thing.
You can bring Aquaman in later, but we don't need the shot of him on the TV. We don't need the creature from the Black Lagoon's like hand like in one shot, or the fucking skull with the fangs. It's like, give me a break.
It just needs to be one good movie first.
Yes,
then,
exactly. Like when the originals were made, you know, there was just The Mummy, and it was a self-contained movie, and that's all it was about.
Yeah.
And then later on, you know, they did a Monster Mash thing. You know, they had, you know, the Wolfman versus Frankenstein versus the Wolfman. They did that, but there was no... Imagine if at the end of Bride of Frankenstein or something, or Son of Frankenstein, they were like, one day these monsters may come together and fight. It's like, you don't need that.
In like 2024, if it happens, I don't even know. So the other thought I just had was that it could have been comedy. Like that's another thing. That's another direction to go with it. Because Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. That was like, if you stop and think about it, how different the world was by the time that came out, and that was sort of, you know, in the same series, but it was like at the very, very end, and there was already like all this time where the world changed so much that now we were looking at the monsters as comedy, and then you know you get into Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein and Monster Squad. I think all the best ones since have been comedies.
Yeah. Well, speaking of comedy, in this movie, in the beginning of it, it really bothered me because they couldn't even take it serious for a while until they threw in some jokes. It was like right off the bat, you see Tom Cruise and he's like this wise ass, and they start like firing machine guns at Tom Cruise and his buddy or whatever, and the whole time they're just cracking these like really bad jokes.
But it wasn't in the same way as the Brendan Fraser mummy movies, because like those were they kind of went all with it. Like, this is fun. Like, this is just, we're going to goof around stuff.
Right. That whole movie was, like, seemed fun.
Yeah, this was kind of like that, but with a lot of the fun taken out of it.
Yeah.
But even though they did put in a little humor here and there, it's sort of like, this was like a Brendan Fraser mummy movie that tries to take itself more seriously.
Yeah. And didn't work.
No.
Unfortunately. And very unfortunately, because so when I saw the trailer to this movie, I watched the trailer and I was like, wow, this movie looks like it's probably not going to be very good. But I usually like to reserve my judgment for movies until I see the whole movie, even though I think you can tell...
Usually you can tell
what a movie's going to be like by a trailer. So I thought the trailer did not look good, I have to say. But we saw the movie, and then I was right. It was actually... I figured it probably wasn't going to be very good. I didn't realize it was going to be bad. It's just flat out bad.
See,
and it's very unfortunate.
It was like really bad. I thought it was like mediocre.
Okay.
But I mean, either way, it's not good. I mean,
well, let's say this. Was there anything you liked about the movie?
It was entertaining enough. Like it just kind of had like maybe just like a better version of like a Sci-Fi Channel movie or something.
Wow, that's really insulting. You're like, it's slightly better than something you might see on Sci-Fi.
It kind of took things from American Werewolf in London. Did you catch that?
So, you know, apparently the part where they're tumbling around in the airplane, which I'm not giving anything away because that's in the trailer. Yeah. That apparently they took a real airplane up like 50 times or something and shot that sequence, and that was all like done in camera. That was all real, apparently. But like... Now I almost feel like that's good that they tried to do that, but there's so much CG in this movie that I feel like what's the point at that point? Like, okay, so there was one scene
like nowadays you don't even know what's real anymore.
Like if that would have all been CG, like I probably wouldn't know. Yeah, you know,
it looks nice. There you go. Like it you know, it has some good visuals, but nothing any more so than any other action
else.
kind of. Yeah.
What did you love about the original Mummy movie?
The original Mummy movie had a great story. I think that's really, like, it had like a fairy tale type story about this couple in Egypt reuniting after 3,000 years.
Which was also the story of this movie.
Well, they kind of
to be fair.
Yeah, well, they kind of mashed it up over the years. Like, there's every Mummy, Mummy 1932, Mummy 1959, Mummy 1999, Mummy 2017. Like, they all kind of just, it took things from each of those. I do think it was a great idea to have a female mummy because think about how awesome that would look with all the other monsters. Like, if this would work out, if you'd get this shared universe, seeing her with all the others. Because the mummy was always, you can change the mummy. Like, I always felt like it didn't have to be the same thing. Because the original mummy was Imhotep. Then when Universal started doing like the sequels, they weren't really sequels. They were actually like, it was a new mummy. It was Karis.
Yeah.
And then this one is a different mummy itself. And there always was a mummy princess in there. So this was kind of like making that mummy in the front stage. And
yeah, I didn't mind that. I mean, I thought I thought she was a good actress trapped in a bad plot.
Oh yeah, I mean everybody was like, you know, Russell Crowe, he's a good actor. Like none of these people are bad actors. It's just the script.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you had Bride of Frankenstein, and she was only like at the end of that movie, and you never see her again. There's Dracula's daughter, but she's not as famous as like the others. Like she got one movie.
Yeah,
but
that's a good movie.
Yeah. So I thought it was a great idea just to have the female mummy up against all these other monsters. But I don't know what's going to happen with the movies as we go on.
I don't even know if it will continue after this. I guess they're going to still try to continue it because I can't imagine this movie doing well at this point. Because I mean, I've already. This is just our opinions. I've seen other reviews of other people, and it seems like other people tend to be having the same opinion.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I think this whole thing's very unfortunate because it's like this is the first of these movies, and this is supposed to launch this whole cinematic universe. And even though I'm not really for it in the first place, because I'm fine with just having the original movies, it's kind of a shame to see that happen to the monsters. It's like, all right, here we go. It's a bunch of crappy monster movies. You know?
Well, if it makes a lot of money, then we could see more. I think it's really. We did a video in 2015 for Monster Madness, and it was all about what do you want to see happen with the Universal monsters. And we talked about it back then. And, you know, I still stand by that I just want to see him come back in some way. But I don't know, this just doesn't seem like the right way.
I like your idea.
Yeah, the black and white version.
Yeah, Universal, take James's idea and try that for the next one. Or how about this? So they had to shoehorn Dr. Jekyll into this thing. How about make Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde the game, the movie, and have James direct it? I think that would be more entertaining.
You see the trailer I did for that a couple years back. You know, it was a good mummy movie? Bubba Ho-tep.
Bubba Ho-tep was good.
That was good. Here's the thing. I think it's watchable.
It didn't do anything to really grab me or interest me. The characters were just nothing.
I'll see anything if it's a Universal monster movie. I think that's my problem.
Oh, well,
that's it.
I will say that if they come out with the next one, I'm going to go see it. So
yeah, like
I'm going to go see it, but I don't know if anybody else will.
I will have hope for every single one. If they keep doing them, I'll keep coming to see them. Call me a sucker, whatever.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Let's also be fair. Some of the movies from like the 40s and whatever weren't that great. Like I didn't really like Son of Dracula very much.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the weaker ones.
Yeah, I mean, there's some weaker ones of the original movies too.
House of Dracula, I think, is really weak, but I watched that over and over.
Right. So I mean, maybe this was just a weak one, and the next one will be better. Like, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt, I guess, only because I love the monsters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think the whole thing's unnecessary.
Yeah, I mean, I came out of it, I was just like, no.
Bad.
Bad.
No good.
So I'm looking this up. I just want to know what the next one. Bride of Frankenstein is supposed to be February 14th, 2019.
Okay.
Then there's supposed to be an untitled untitled Creature from the Black Lagoon film. I'm willing to bet it's going to be titled Creature from the Black Lagoon. Then you got an Invisible Man film, which is going to have Johnny Depp as the Invisible Man.
Do you think that Johnny Depp went to the theater to the premiere of this movie, The Mummy, and he was probably just like, oh, fuck. He's probably like trying to get out of his contract right now.
Get out of his contract for an invisible role that you don't even see him.